Hello, 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 everyone. We are here for Married at First Sight Australia. This is week 7. Can't believe it's 7 weeks already. The episodes are in the 20s already, and they usually go to 40, so buckle up. Okay, y'all? We have a few more weeks to go. This is the second to last. Commitment ceremony was today. Members and I, we do a little party. We have our own dinner party, and we watch the dinner parties together. On Thursday nights. Okay. But we are here to cover this week in Married at First Sight, Australia. How are you today, JR?
I'm well, thank you. Hope everyone's all good out there. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm just checking out your soccer gear. Okay. I wonder who you back in. Okay.
Arsenal, London, London team all the time. Gonna
Okay.
win something this year. But listen, it's been a long drought, but we're in 4 competitions and we're coming up to the end of the season. So we're gonna at least win one. We have to.
Okay. Okay. I understand that kind of fandom. I understand it. I understand why you're wearing it. Your heart is there. And I'm sure they're either playing now or they're playing soon.
Correct. They're playing right now.
Okay, so y'all, when he glances over and he's not paying attention to me, it's not disrespect. He's just paying attention to his team. Just give us a heads up before you start yelling out goal, okay?
All right, we'll do.
So this week was feedback week. Feedback week means that the couples give each other feedback. Now, what they did this time was that they paired people up, different sides of relationships, to give feedback. Okay. Then they also had people write letters anonymously, even though people guessed exactly who sent them letters. They gave letters anonymously so they know. So let me go to the back. What we did see was that Rachel was paired with Chris, Sam with Philip, Scott with Stella. We did see those. We did see who sent those letters. Alyssa and they sent a letter to Rachel and Stephen. I believe Stella and Philip sent it to Gia and Scott. I do have some photos for you guys, but we always go couple by couple based on the commitment ceremony that happened today. Okay. Now, to begin the week, Juliet decided to send those text messages out. She said, I'm going to send it to Alyssa. And then right before the dinner party, everybody else got it. So I have a photo. Okay, y'all. You know, this is for, I have censored it. Y'all grown folks can fill in the blanks. I have censored it, but there is a photo. These are the text messages that Alyssa read out. Okay. Okay. Alyssa is going boop down. Okay. Okay. Y'all could read the rest. This is just a snippet of what Beck had to say in the group chat. And it's funny how Gia only sent Beck's messages, but nobody else in the group, which included Rebecca, Gia, and so forth. So again, very weird that only Beck's derogatory statements were sent out in these. Okay, so y'all take a look. See, okay, that was Alyssa reading it out after she got it. But also this week, David was paired to give Beck feedback on her relationship. And when asked, she's like, he's like, it was vile. It was bad, Beck. It was terrible. And then Beck is like, well, how do you know? That's the top left picture. How do you know it was vile and this bad? And David says, we've seen them. And the bottom 2 photos is Beck's shocked reaction that it actually did get out. And everybody has seen the text messages. What were your thoughts this week, JR, on the whole text message gate before we get into the first couple?
Man, listen, Beck and Gia have been exposed. I don't think there's anything they can do to say editing or they were put up to it. This is entirely them off camera and in private having conversations about Alyssa and David. So I can understand why she was surprised, because she was in a relaxed setting and she was just probably letting it all go. And Beck, you're not too smart, because you and Gia have been beefing the whole season. You've been competing for who is the most toxic and most annoying. And for some reason, you decided to be fake friends and you fell right into Gia's trap by exposing your thoughts on somebody in the group and thinking that it wasn't going to get out. Gia was going to make sure that it got out because she does not like you. And she was just waiting for you to do something and then she can put you on blast. So, Beck, all mouth and not too much brain. And I think Gia, she is probably the most manipulative character we've come across in a long time, because not only did she have these conversations with Beck and say insults and things too, but she made sure that it was Beck's stuff that got most of the coverage, not hers. And then the most diabolical thing is that she went to Juliet, sent these messages to Juliet, encouraged Juliet to go public with these messages, saying that she'll support her. Then she went to Beck and told Beck that these messages have got out and it was production that leaked it. And then she went back to Chris and said, let's not back Juliet when she goes public with these things. Let's just let her, because she's going to leave anyway. So let her take the rap for everything. And then we can just sit back and watch Beck get humiliated. And Alyssa as collateral. So yeah, man, Gia, master manipulator, man, does not deserve to be on this show. Didn't come here for the right reasons at all. Sad to see.
Well, here's what else was sad to see on Feedback Week. This is a photo. Stella and Philip wrote a letter to them, giving them feedback, telling them what to do. They also, Stella met up with Scott and gave him really great feedback that he liked. And when Gia got the letter, now this is anonymous, they just guessed it correctly. Gia, as you see in that photo, y'all, Gia ripped up the letter. There's no one she wants to hear from. No one has a better relationship than them. No one's relationship she wants to emulate. She don't want to hear it from anybody. So she ripped up the letter in front of Scott, and y'all see Scott is kind of like, ugh. Scott was so scared, y'all. He did not share what was told to him by Stella in the meetup. Now, after this, Gia decides we got to leave. We got to go. But production is using this in a certain way. It turns out now, after the fact, we find out from Scott, like every weekend, because they don't film on the weekend, every weekend he does take her away from everything so they can have a refresh and a reset. So I'm thinking they're using this scene, you know, as one of the times that they're leaving just for the weekend to embellish it quite a bit. So these were photos of them saying, oh, they're leaving the process. But I think it was being used in a different way. But let's start off. That is already starting the week. Okay. I just wanted to start there. So let's start off with our first couple. Okay. Apparently Gia and Scott, they wanted to get to them early o'clock. And Gia said she felt attacked for sending the screenshots when the other person has not been held accountable for what they wrote. And she didn't want to be in any more arguments or violations. She stood Danny up, y'all. She did not show up to the feedback date. She didn't want it before she knew it was Danny, and she said heck no after she found out it was Danny. Danny, meanwhile, is sitting there waiting. He don't care if it's Gia or Scott. He's like, we're going to have a conversation. So John, the expert, said yes, the words were abhorrent. We have two things. It was abhorrent. Beck, you keep on doing this foolishness. And two, the second issue is you're acting very high school, Gia. It's about choices. You decided to send the text messages and use it against Beck and get Alyssa caught up. And Gia admits it's childish behavior. And Scott, though, got a chance, y'all, to say how he feels. Scott got a chance to actually say this drama, he wants to know if this is what it's going to be after the experiment. She's like, this is not who I am. This is not how I am. You obviously don't know me, but this is all he's seen of you. So what did you think of whole Scott and Gia on the couch in this week?
Yeah. So let's start with the feedback. She didn't want to hear any of it because she knows that there are flaws in their relationship. And she does not like constructive criticism or feedback. It was very disrespectful of the task and of the process and of the show for her to just tear it up without reading it. She's very insecure. She's very insensitive to Scott's feelings because it's all about her. Maybe Scott wanted some of that feedback. Maybe what Scott wants to hear what some of the other couples are seeing in their relationship that they're not seeing. Because as I said last week, Scott, although he's successful and runs businesses, I would kind of put him in the dopey category because he kind of just lets Gia, who is by far one of the most problematic people in the group, but he basically says, as long as she's not doing it to me, then I don't mind. That's very wrong. You need to stop that behavior now because at times she's pulled him into confrontations or into settings where they're not comfortable. You know, when she wants to get up and leave after doing the dirt that she does, he has to follow her like a little lapdog. And there was some footage aired where the cameras weren't rolling as such, but they could hear what was taking place. And you can see how the relationship actually goes. When she doesn't get her own way or things aren't to her liking, she'll say, no, I'm not doing that. Sure. Okay, well, let's wait till the cameras go off, then we'll talk. And he's like, no, can't we just talk now? And she's like, no, I don't want to talk while the cameras are here. And she'll throw tantrums. And you can almost sense that when the cameras aren't rolling, she's a lot worse than she actually is. On the camera, she's trying to portray herself a certain way. But the reason why it doesn't come over is because the high school bully that she said she used to battle against as a kid is actually her. She's actually a bully. She actually manipulates people to do her dirty work, and she goes off on people to upset them, to offend them, and it's all done intentionally. So yeah, their relationship has some major problems, and I can see why Scott is thinking now, with the show winding down, like, is this what it's going to be like in the real world? Is she going to be starting trouble with people because she doesn't like them? Is she going to be bringing me into conflict all the time with people that I might be cool with? Is she going to have issues with friends or family members? Is she going to, what is it going to be like? And she's so sensitive to criticism, and I said very insecure, that what she took from that was, oh, well, I'm not like this in real life. I'm a care worker. I work with vulnerable people, and that's what makes you even worse. Because this personality that she has doesn't just switch on because she's on the show. It's how she actually is. It's just when she's in the care work setting, there aren't these type of relationship dilemmas and the insecurity of watching other relationships develop. In the real world, when she's not at work, that's when her real personality manifests. So I can see why Scott's raising red flags, and he should have done that ages ago.
Now, remember on her wedding day, she had a little tiff with her friends
And her uncle.
and her uncle. So Scott, I'm sorry, this is gonna be the rest of your life. If
Mhm.
y'all, but just for y'all to know on social media, Gia has moved on. If y'all check in social media, she has a new boyfriend. She had a birthday party on social media. It's on Instagram. And then Juliet had an interview as well that's on Instagram where Juliet says she was uninvited to Gia's party because Beck was invited and was going to come. So y'all see how the play is happening right now. It's play for TV, at least my opinion, because there
Mm.
ain't no way you doing this slinging this mud and then all of a sudden we're supposed to kiki in the background. But there are other settings where Gia has Juliet in the social media settings of them going out doing stuff with her, Rebecca, Juliet, and Mel, and no
Mhm.
Beck. So
Right.
it and y'all last commitment ceremony, you saw how they lied. G- Gia said she needed to go to the bathroom. She pulled a Brooke. She went to the bathroom, she disappeared, and Scott is like, what's going on? We already started filming and Gia isn't back. When Scott goes to look for her, there's no Gia. And then he has the nerve to come to this commitment ceremony saying, well, she just left the place. She didn't leave me. No, Scott, she left you. She did not tell you she was coming back or that she was going home. She said she was going to the bathroom. That's why you check in your watch. Scott is trying to be as nice as possible and cover for Gia, and that's the worst thing you could do.
Because it enables her behavior to continue. So um, it's very interesting that not only does she manipulate her friend group, but even her enemies as well can't help but cozy up to her, like Beck, for example. Beck, she just outed you and your messages that you shared privately. Why are you going to a birthday party for? Again, not too savvy. And what that shows me is that they're all fake and they're all performative. They can beef with each other, cuss each other out, drag each other through the mud, try and ruin each other's relationships. Well, mainly Gia ruining everybody else's relationships. And then, a birthday party comes and then she's like, yeah, come on over and let's celebrate and let's take some pictures together. Imagine if Beck had believed Gia's accusation about what Danny said. That would have torn their whole relationship up because Beck is very insecure anyway. So Gia has attempted to even ruin her relationship, but still, invites her to a birthday party. Yes, it's really crazy. And
It's
then the other thing
wild.
is
Mm-hmm.
when Gia's being held to account on the couch, she did not like the feedback from the experts at all. She was trying to say, oh, you guys are coming for me and you're talking about everything except our relationship. Why is that? It's because you keep doing things to get attention more than your relationship does. And your relationship, as we've seen with the unseen footage, the unaired footage, is that you basically control him and manipulate him into doing whatever you want whenever you want to do it. And then the worst thing is Miss I'm a care worker. When she made the video rebutting Scott's appearance on the interview, she mocked his learning disabilities and his speech, like the level of grammar he uses. She mocked it extensively. So she weaponized, she used things against him that she knew in confidence. And then she also mocked their Smex life. She also mocked their, how happy she was during the time with him. She basically said she was faking. So yeah, Gia is she can't be trusted at all. Every time she moves her mouth, she lies about something.
Well, yes, because y'all, when they said they were writing an anonymous letter, and that's how you say it, Scott says it anonymous. And I know tons of people that say it like that, or there may be just a word that people just can't say in a particular way, enunciate, in a particular fashion. And I was like, I thought it was cute. I was just chuckling. I was like, okay, Scott, I understand. That's just one of them words. But she used it now in her social media backlash to him, like he can't, that he can't read. That's why she grabbed the paper that I was like, why are we doing this? All like to someone that went through the process with, and it's all because Scott, is now coming clean as to as he would term it, the suffering in quotation marks that he was doing, and keeping everything in, trying to accommodate for her. And he was still, not getting his needs met emotionally.
No, because she was not focused on trying to be there for his needs. It was all about trying to make herself feel better than the rest of the brides on the show. She wanted to come out the best, and she was sabotaging everybody else in order to get there. And I would also say that she's a bit salty because Scott apparently ghosted her after the show ends. As soon as the camera stopped rolling, he ghosted her. Scott, that was the best thing he could have done, bro.
Yeah, somebody was saying he did it for his mental health and he needed to regroup and stuff like that. But y'all, this week, Gia and Scott, they both decided to stay. Okay. They both decided to stay. And next week, y'all, is the homestay. This is where they all go to their homes and basically see how the other party lives. So yes, Gia and Scott decided to put stay, although Gia is side-eyeing Scott and was talking to Chris. They see Chris, they coming for me. And after the sit down, let me put this up. After the sit down, this is what Gia had to say. Gia went to sit down, and all of a sudden, I'm sick of getting rolled. Scott's like, it's fine. And Gia says, no, it's not. This is right after when they go right back to the couch. What was said, they were whispering, so they gave us closed captionings as to what they said. I was like, Gia, piece of work. Piece of work. But hey, as they say, great for TV, great for TV. Now, here's another one. When they were sitting down and someone else was speaking, this is how Scott was looking at Danny, y'all. And that in the smaller box is how Gia was looking at Beck. Now, Danny and Beck weren't paying them any mind that we saw. But this is how they're looking at the other couple. And I'm like, there's some deep-seated stuff right there. You don't just catch this. And this is just one photo of many instances they showed of them looking at Danny and Beck in this kind of manner. And I was like, no wonder Danny got his hand up so he doesn't even see Scott looking at him. Like, this is wild to me. This is taking it too seriously. Why would you be at another couple? Okay. I didn't understand it with them, but hey, they decided to stay and they will be here for another week.
The crazy part is they're supposed to be friends with the couple.
Right. Next up.
What's his name? Danny and Scott.
Yeah.
They actually dap it up like they're friends.
Yeah, they actually do. But to catch that look is wild.
Yeah.
Next up on the couch is Rachel and Steven. Okay, this week, Steven made dinner. Okay, I'm not going to say nothing too much, Steven. I had to take a photo of it, y'all. This is the nachos that Steven microwaved. It's the thought that counts. Okay, ladies, we say is the thought that counts. He put some cheese on some chips and melts it. And he got you some guacamole and he got you some salsa on the side and a little wine bottle. It's the thought that counts. Ain't it, JR? Isn't that what we say?
Steven, some thoughts need to just stay in your head, bro.
Say that again.
Some thoughts need to just stay in your head.
We're not giving him an E for effort?
No, I can't even. What kind of effort was that? You just emptied a bag of Doritos sprinkled some mozzarella on the Doritos, put them in the microwave for 10 seconds, and served them with some dips. But if Rachel appreciated it, then I'm quite sure she was like she
well,
really.
they did. Yes, they did share it, and
Mhm.
they appreciated the advice. The advice came from David and Alyssa. It was, and David, you did not have to put on that lipstick to prove that you're toe to toe with your wife. Okay, it's okay. Okay, you could have drawn XO on the paper with the lipstick. But anyway, their task for Stephen and Rachel was to put on lipstick on Rachel and have Rachel kiss Stephen and count the kisses. But they also wanted Stephen to do it to Rachel and count the kisses. We don't need to have lipstick to count kisses. But I guess they wanted it to be visible. That's okay, but okay. It was a little too much for me. What were your thoughts to these two this week?
Stephen didn't even realize it was lipstick at first.
He said he's been around the block. He's seen this before.
Nah, he'd probably run around the block a couple of times. But listen, he saw that and he was like, "Are you expecting me to use this? I don't know how. Where's the instruction manual?"
What did he think it was, JR?
Some type of implement.
Okay, he thought it was a BOB, y'all, a battery operated boyfriend, the lipstick kind, the bzz kind. That's what Stephen thought it was.
Because I think there's a part of him that was probably like, well, that means the pressure's not on me to perform. As long as it's got batteries, can do that all day, all night.
Hey, his fingers will get a rest. Oh, I'm sorry.
Listen, he already got in trouble for using his fingers. So this would have even got him out of jail with that too.
But Stephen stepped up, y'all, and said at the dinner party, y'all need to stay out of our bedroom. We will get there when we get there. Stay out of it. Don't mention it. We are on our own thing. And that was also Alyssa and David telling him, you need to take charge. You need to lead. And your wife, Rachel, needs to just listen. And Rachel enjoys it and likes it. She finds it's admirable and awesome. Okay. Anything else you wanted to say about this couple?
Now that they're not under as much pressure to perform for the audience who are just waiting on bated breath for them to be intimate, it'll be interesting to see how long they last. Because I think Rachel does want to be desired by her partner, naturally. And I think Stephen still has some walls or some hurdles up he needs to get over in order to fully be affectionate in the way that Rachel's going to receive it. So we'll see how that goes. There's still some time, I guess. There's no rush. And you should let nature take its course. It shouldn't be forced, and it shouldn't be an obligation, and it shouldn't feel like you owe someone or anything like that.
Right. And they both say stay this week, so they are going to the homestays. And in the previews, he takes her fishing on his fishing vessel. Okay. Okay. But they both say stay. It wasn't much to say about this couple this week. It was a wonderful, quiet moment with this couple.
Yeah.
Next up on the couch, this couple, Chris and Sam. Now, this week, y'all, remember last week on the Commitment Couch, folks, that Sam actually said, when asked, what are the plans for after? Have y'all thought about it? And Chris immediately jumped in and said, hey, we're going to be back and forth. He's going to be in Sydney. I'm going to be at the farm. And then he eventually going to move out to the farm. I got these kids coming. And Sam felt like we hadn't discussed this. We hadn't talked about this. He felt like he wasn't given an option for input. Chris got very defensive and said, "What do you mean? At least I'm thinking about it. I thought it's cute. I thought it was, great that I'm even considering you." And they have been fighting about this most of the week, and Sam feels like he has not been heard. So he said, "I'm going to bring this up at the dinner party. I'm going to talk to everyone." But Chris is like, "We need to talk about this in a controlled environment because, Sam says that he's been gaslit. Okay. He's been gaslit by Chris. But when someone says a controlled environment rather than privacy, for me it screams word choice that I'm uncomfortable with. I don't understand where it for me it doesn't sit well. When someone says, "I'd rather talk to you in a controlled environment." Oh, so you can control the dialogue like you did on the couch? But Sam is saying, "Hey, can I have input?" And you're being defensive. And he's like, "Well, Chris is like, I'm an empath. Everybody calls me an empath. I don't know why you're saying I'm not listening to you. Okay, I'm coming from a good place." But the experts are like, "Yes, you're a good place, but your tone, the way you speak to Sam, that's why he wanted y'all to come in front of everyone." And I think expert John hit the nail on the head, say, "Chris, maybe you're feeling this as a form of rejection." Sam isn't rejecting the idea. He just wants input into the idea of what are we going to do? How are we going to, accomplish this? What were your thoughts, Chris and Sam, and their argument this week?
So, Chris, he's come out of his shell now that he's hanging around with Gia a lot more. As soon as she saw them lip fillers, she was like, "Yep, he can join the gang. Yeah, he can join the crew." And he's been influenced by her behaviors, and he's now somewhat taken those behaviors into the relationship with Sam. He's been quite dismissive. It's not about you, it's about me type attitude. And Sam has picked it up. And to be fair, he's still stuck by, he's still invested in the relationship. But then we saw Chris and Gia share some scathing remarks about Sam and his living situation in the real world. Apparently he lives in a house share. He's got a flatmate or whatever. And Chris went on a tirade with Gia there, obviously to try and win her approval and get her support about it. But it's basically trashing Sam, saying, "Listen, you're poor, bro. Like, you need a flatmate. You ain't got as much money as me. I got a farm. I got a house. You live in a house share. So I don't think you can be talking to me about, dictating to me about what we're going to be doing in the real world." That was kind of the tone it took. And that was a very low thing to do, very petty, very classless. And it's something that I think Chris meant, because, he didn't look like he was under any duress when he was saying it. He was just running off at the mouth about his partner. He didn't have to say none of that, but he chose to be disparaging. And Sam having to watch that back, that was painful for him to see, you could tell. But so I think their relationship definitely unraveled this week. Probably very, very rapid compared to how people thought it was last week. Like, last week this couple went in trouble, and then all of a sudden this week happened, and now looks like it's home time.
I think it's PNC, post nut clarity. I'm sorry.
I don't even want to. I can't.
Understand.
I can't. I'm Jamaican. I can't take my brain to those places.
Understand. Understood.
But
that's where my brain went.
Yuck. But I will say, I think, that's still all right. So I think, being in a controlled environment, is sitting with the experts and letting them hear what the problem is, and then all three of them can give their feedback. That's what a controlled environment is. You've got some mediators there.
Yes.
Right? And they're external, they're not biased. If Chris is going to go and share and air their dirty laundry to Gia, he's not going to be, impartial. She's going to be firmly in Chris's behavior, exhibiting mean girl, firmly in Chris's corner, exhibiting mean girl behavior and cheerleading him. To what end, though? She has no vested interest in this relationship at all. And other than the fact that Chris is one of her cohorts, her mean girl buddies. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which way you look at it, I think it's home time for these two.
Yeah, y'all, at the commitment ceremony, look at this. Sam is there crying. I'm going to reveal to you why he's crying next. Sam is crying and Chris is looking at his nails. Okay? While he is crying and the experts are visibly moved, Chris is not. Chris's heart is closed off, I think, completely from this entire what's going on. But here's why. Here's why. Y'all, this week Chris wrote leave while Sam decided to stay. Sam said, I don't want to live with regret. I want to see how far we can go and take this. Let's see if we can learn something from the experts and continue this. So definitely this is what hurt Sam and why he was crying. And Chris don't care. Chris is like, I'm ready to leave. I just want to go home. And Sam is emotional and Chris is Chris is offering no kind of comfort, support, or whatever. It's again, as you said with Gia, it's about him. It's all about Chris right now. It's the Chris show.
His exact words on the couch were, yeah, I'm ready to leave and go home and be a dad now. You don't care about Sam. He's already thinking about, listen, I need to get out of here and get back to my real life so I can hang out with Gia. Forget this Sam guy.
Right.
Because just like Gia, he doesn't like being called out for his behavior.
Yeah, and I agree with Sam. From what we saw, this is an edited, produced show. I keep telling y'all, I didn't really feel the sentiment of Chris's apologies. I understand, Sam was there, but we saw it and it's like, now Chris is like, I'm tired of apologizing. And I do see Chris's side of being tired of apologizing, but even in that apology, you're not even asking Sam, well, what are your thoughts on what our life can look like outside of here? That is what I was like, that's the piece that I think that was missing for Sam, but I don't know Sam. I don't know Chris. But I was like, come on. I was rooting for Chris till I get there, but what is this going to look like in my thoughts? What is this going to look like when Chris has his kids to think about? Sam, you already on the back burner now before the kids show up. You won't be fully last on the list when the kids are here. I think, Sam needs to get out right now.
I agree. I don't know why he was so casual about the kids when he found out, when he was told the information either. It's a really serious thing because, like I said a few weeks ago, Chris is going to have relationships with the birth mothers or, at least friendships, at least some interactions. Plus, the children are going to come with their own responsibilities that he's going to have. And this is, this was all arranged prior to him meeting Sam. And Sam has to now try and get in where he can fit in. And Chris don't want him around no more. So, Sam, you wanted to work this relationship out. You're the only one that wants to work this relationship out. Chris is done. And it's probably just going to go even worse for them because the level of disdain that Chris is beginning to show, I don't see him changing or pivoting to a different view of Sam.
Yeah, and I agree with our Sam in the chat. I wonder if this leave wasn't a tit for tat back at Sam to hurt him. I wonder if it was really a leave to leave, or is it a leave to hurt Sam? But y'all, in the social medias of it all, okay, in the social medias of it all, an ex of Chris has come forward. Okay, an ex of Chris has come forward in the Australian social media saying that he and Chris were still together during this time. That's all alleged. That is his story. That he and Chris were still together. That he was supposed to be the bonus dad to Chris's kids that are coming. So there's a whole battle going on in the Australian social media that I'll be paying attention to, and if anything, I will bring it to the post area. And members, I have a treat for you. I have a post for y'all for later. Okay, with another show we're covering. Okay. But that is all for Chris and Sam for this week. They will be going to the homestays. I wonder how it's going to be at the farm. Chris might say, I ain't leaving home.
Listen, they're going to try and recreate some Brokeback Mountain on that farm.
Wait a minute.
And also, it's going to be interesting to see how Chris deals with Sam's homestay location, because if there's a flatmate there and he's already tried to be bougie about it and disrespect him. So how's that going to work?
Next up on the couch is Alyssa and David. Now, remember, I showed y'all earlier that Alyssa was reading the text messages that she got. Alyssa, though, before the couple kind of meetup, because y'all, they used to have a couple swap where people used to live for a week with the other person. I'm glad they didn't do that this time. That is just a lunch and talk about stuff. Alyssa told David, don't talk about the text messages. I'm going to bring that up with the girls when I'm ready. And David was a deer in the headlights, because as soon as Beck sat down, she started talking about the text messages and apologizing. And David is like, daggone it. Daggone it. Alyssa did kick up a little bit of a fuss, but not too much of a fuss. You know, because she's like, babe, I told you not to talk about it. Now, that babe annoys me, okay? That babe does annoy me quite a bit when she says it too much. But she didn't go too far with David about it. But they said that, you know, the text messages started to derail it. It opened up old wounds. They have talked about the future being long distance for a while. And Alyssa said she wants to stay in Adelaide, where she's from, when it's time to have a family in a few years from now. Now, David said that Alyssa reminds him of his mother. But that means that she cares about him and wants the best for him. What are your thoughts this week on David and Alyssa? We saw very little of them.
Yeah, because they weren't at the center of, I mean, obviously the text messages, but that's been dragging on for so long now. There's nothing new really to report. But David was put in a very tough situation, because unfortunately his feedback week was with Beck. And the most obvious thing, the big elephant in the room, having just read the text messages with Alyssa in bed that morning, and then having to go and meet Beck for lunch, it's going to be fresh in his mind. So no matter how many times he said to himself, don't bring it up, don't bring it up, don't bring it up. Beck is so insecure, she's going to bring it up anyway. Oh, you know, I didn't mean about the text messages. No, I would have done exactly what David did and just say, listen, no, I saw them and they were vile. I'll put her on the spot. And then, you know, Beck's going to do the usual apology and try and say, oh, well, it was Beck and it was Juliet and all this stuff. No, but you said what you said. And it wasn't nice. And for the first time, it wasn't just Alyssa that you dissed. You actually dissed David as well. So there's a lot of insecurity with Beck. I would have given her short shrift, as they say. Like, I wouldn't have given her no real time. Now, Alyssa, I can see why she's a bit disappointed, because she didn't want the conversation to be had without her present. because the insults are about her. But at the same time, David didn't bring it up. It was the fact that Beck brought it up, and he was kind of put in a catch-22 situation. So I'm glad that it wasn't made such a big deal of. But there is something that's concerning me with this couple. It was the comment a few weeks ago about him. Sorry, hold on.
I know whenever. You better answer that.
Yeah. Cool now, so
Okay, got it now.
yeah, my mom's yeah. So where was I? Yeah, so I think
You were talking about something
there
that
is some
happened
trouble.
last week.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there is some trouble brewing because the comment that she made about David not being to like on her frequency, that comment there irked me. And then I've heard in the social media streets that something is going to come out about David that causes their relationship to break apart. And I'm not sure what it is. I hope it's nothing too serious and it's just like, a temporary, because they have gotten on very well. But there's something that he didn't reveal. And
Okay, but they get along very well, but I see them as in the same vein as Stephen and Rachel. They more seem friendly. I don't
they
see
are.
romance.
Oh, yeah. No, I see. Yeah. We
Okay.
haven't seen romance. We've seen chemistry.
Right. Chemistry. But again, we don't need to know the details of all of their relationship, but I don't see longevity with these two. I do see chemistry. They're trying to pair them up like it's Stella and Philip, but I don't see it as deep as Stella and Philip.
No, nowhere near.
Right.
But even though Stella and Philip have come under attack, it hasn't been anywhere near the scale that Alyssa
Right.
and David have been getting from Gia and Beck.
And maybe I can't see it because of, as you said, the smoke screen of all of this between, Beck, Gia, and she being caught in the crosshairs. David did say last week that, hey, I have to console my wife. We can't go past this because I'm always picking up the pieces. So maybe that's why I don't see it. I can accept that part of it. But these two, in great stride, they're caught in the crossfires yet again, but they are going to move along in the homestays. And let me put this up. Let me put up what they decided to both agree to. They both agreed to stay. Okay. They both agreed to stay, and they'll be going to the homestays next week. Okay. There wasn't much about them, but yes, David does do a lot of sacrifice in this. Next up,
and that's what we have to give him credit for, because he's been there to support her the whole time, and I think they have sacrificed a lot of the time their happiness because they're constantly dealing with these issues from the jealous outsiders. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, he gave up a kneecap from day one.
Exactly. And you also had to take the humiliation ritual on the actual vows. That was very embarrassing.
Very, very. But you know what? I'm hoping they pull along. But you're right. With all of the stuff that I'm seeing, it's a lot of that scandal with Gia and Beck, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of David after the fact.
Are you expecting to see something from David?
Well, the fact that I'm not seeing something tells me that whatever was found out is very scandalous.
Really? I would have thought
Why are
him
we so
being the
quiet?
odd one out on the cast. I would have thought Yeah, they would have made a big deal if he got caught doing something.
He's a host. He hosts different things like the Balloon for Love stuff, and he does like nightlife hosting and stuff. So I was like, the fact that he's not post show stuff, I'm like, why are you so quiet even on your own social media?
Because he is quiet.
Okay. The rapper, he's quiet. What are you talking about?
He's not a rapper anymore. That was years ago. You heard them bars. They're like 2002 bars.
I'm
He had
not.
the
I'm
rag
not
and the
going
baggy
there.
pants on.
I'm not going there about his bars. I'm just saying, for someone who is in social media and nightlife and hosting, David is mighty quiet in these internet streets.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I would say you're
Ain't
paranoid.
nothing wrong with it, but it's very suspicious.
Oh my gosh.
Next up on the couch, another couple we didn't have much, ruffles with is Philip and Stella. Okay, they are back to being lovey-dovey. Stella says she wants to thank Mel, the expert, for her advice on focusing on the emotional safety that Philip provides. Okay, but Stella says, I expect a proposal after the show, a real proposal. Okay. So that is the only angst. She wants it the sooner the better. Philip said he will propose, after the fact. And, these two are going stride for stride. I have no big issues other than they need to relax and trust each other. What were your thoughts on Philip and Stella this week?
Much better than last week with the whole contraceptive conundrum. They managed to heal their rift. I think he was overthinking it because there's absolutely no reason for him to get the snip. He hasn't even got one child yet. And what, just because she doesn't like the feeling of contraceptives? Yeah. If she's anti-contraceptive, they'd have to find a way. But it's not a reason to end a relationship. So I'm glad they managed to mend things. And it looks like they're heading towards the real world with marriage in mind. And we do know from their social media that they have definitely progressed their relationship. So very solid couple other than last week. And they continue to go from strength to strength and grow closer.
Yes, they are closer in the real world. They are still together, as you said, according to their social media. They are together. They are engaged. They are moving along very well. I'm really loving this couple. I'm really loving how the experts are talking to them, because even though they are a great couple, there are, small issues for some, but big issues in the relationship. And fertility is definitely a big question. Family planning is a big question. And I like how they're able to talk about it and go forth, in this relationship. But family stays, y'all, next week in the previews. Stella's two friends that weren't feeling Philip, they still ain't feeling Philip. That's what's coming up next week.
And if I was Philip, I wouldn't be feeling them either.
Because that friend was like, no, you're annoyed. He's like, no, I'm not annoyed. I'm just, trying to feel out what you're saying. No, I can feel it. You're annoyed. How are you going to tell him?
She don't even know him, and she tell him how he feels. And then the other one was like, oh, red flag. He mentioned he's a YouTuber. I got my eye on him. Oh, dear.
So wild. So Nick, that was it. Did I show y'all what they decided to do? They decided to stay. Oh no, I did not show y'all quite yet, but yeah, Philip and Stella decided to stay another week in the experiment. And as I said, they will be going and enjoying homestays. Okay. Next up on the couch, and I think this is last up on the couch, is Danny and Beck. Y'all, this week, Danny and Beck are on the couch. Let me show y'all what Danny did this week, y'all. Okay. This is what Danny did for Beck this week. When they were having date night, he put these post-it notes around the apartment. I appreciate you and everything you do. I adore your personality. I'm going counterclockwise from the wine bottle, y'all. I love your cooking. Okay. I've given a softer side to you that I've ever given to anyone else before. Danny, this handwriting, you must be a doctor. Okay. You look beautiful today. You are beautiful inside and out. And I love being married to you. You're an amazing wife. Okay, Danny, we're going to have to get that grammar. Your looks like year and no apostrophe R-E. I'm going to need us to get it together. But that's him in the middle. He was sitting with a rose between his teeth and the candles. But all the lights are on, Danny. All the lights are on with the candles. I'm just saying. But y'all, that's what Danny did for their date night. I don't know what to say other than Danny said at the dinner party, and for the members who were there, y'all know what was happening. He said at the dinner party, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of what is going on. I'm tired of all this back and forth with other people. I think that, you need to worry about what you're saying to people. So when asked again, okay, could you be falling in love with Beck? Danny heed and hawed and said, maybe the problem was how I answered. And he would have said yes. He could see himself falling in love with her, but he and hawing is like, he's not used to sitting and talking about his feelings. This is all for Beck. If he had an option, he wouldn't be coming to this commitment ceremony. He didn't mean to make her feel this way. And he was just not answering for about 5 rounds. Okay. But Stella said that sounded like a salesman answer when he was talking. And the expert Mel says, why is it important to you, Danny, when you asked when you asked Beck to be your girlfriend? Why is it important for you? Why is it important for you? Why is it important for you? And he was dancing. He said, because Beck needs this security. Yeah, clearly these two are just here to hang out for another week. What were your thoughts this week on Danny and Beck?
So I can see why Danny's apprehensive. Much like Scott, he must be thinking, in the real world, this girl is going to be a nightmare. Every single time that there is an opportunity to mingle with people or get into a group setting, Beck puts her foot in it, or she's done something malicious to somebody and is worried about what the blowback's going to be. So I really thought that Danny would have let her down already and basically just said, listen, I'm not attracted to your level of insecurities. I am not attracted to the amount of fires you start. I'm not attracted to the fact that you spend so much time meddling in other people's relationships. I'm also not attracted to the way you're so fixated on Gia and trying to one-up her all the time. Because all of those 4 things are things that you could have not done and focused on our relationship instead. We already know that there's a lack of physical attraction on his part to her. And all of these other things have just made it even more difficult for them to match. Because physical attraction is only one component, right? It's not the be all and end all. And he doesn't seem like the type of guy that is superficial enough to say, oh, you don't look that nice to me, goodbye. He looks like the type that's going to try and make it work and find other qualities. But she hasn't helped herself. She hasn't helped him to do that. The manipulation of, listen, when we're in public, try and, not to say anything about our relationship. That was crazy. And he rightly said, well, you spent all this time texting people, you've been putting text messages out there for everyone to focus on. And she was like, oh, Danny, that was 2 months ago. It's still going on now, though. You just saw Juliet crash out. You've had Gia and Scott's relationship affected by it, even though Gia is the architect of it. Beck and Danny's relationship. Alyssa and David's relationship. Beck's even caused problems for Rachel and Stephen's relationship. And don't forget, a few weeks ago, she sat there and she targeted every single body at the table and talked disparagingly about their relationships. Right? So Beck is a nightmare, and I just think Danny doesn't know how to let her down gently. I think he's probably thinking, if he tells her how he really feels, he's going to be the bad guy, because they have slept together, and he has tried to keep up appearances even when things were bad. I don't think he wants 15 minutes of fame. I just think he's just there because he doesn't know how to let her down, because of how she's going to react.
So is he in the same boat as Scott?
Yeah, same boat as Scott.
Same boat as Scott.
Yeah.
So they decided, y'all, to stay in the experiment. Danny continues to not know how to let Gia down. He continues to not know how to say, hey, babe, I've come to the end of the road. So they both have decided to stay, and they will be here for homestays. I'm curious as to how homestays are going to go. Is Danny going to tell her daddy how she been behaving? I doubt it.
Well, listen, have you ever heard an upgrade? Have you ever heard a wife being upgraded to girlfriend and being happy about it?
Well, here's the thing. In this instance, I understand, because technically you're just a wife for the show. And I'm wondering if she wants girlfriend to mean like public stuff. We know these aren't real marriages. They're not like the US where there's legal binding marriages. So I kind of understood the whole, I'm your wife by the choice of the show, but I'm the girlfriend by your choice. So I kind of understood it.
I think it's more like, you my girlfriend because it's easier to break up than if you were my wife, then it would be a full-blown divorce. Ooh. That's what I think. But she's cool with it. She's cool with it. I'm just waiting to see what, to be honest, I'm expecting every single week there to be some drama that Beck is behind or has orchestrated or collaborated with Gia to make happen. There always has to be something. There's never going to be a dull moment with Beck. That's for sure. She either instigates it or she's at the center of it. And Danny needs to be prepared for that. If he's not interested in that, then let her go, Danny.
I think he will. I think he will let her go. He will say no. But she's still saying she's in love. I think she's infatuated. I don't think it's love, but I don't know this lady. I don't know their journey. And ladies, we all know how you can be demonetized, okay? And thinking it's in love.
I was about to say that too. She's demonetized. That's for sure. The way she was talking about, oh my God, that was so great. That was fantastic. That was wonderful. That was amazing. And he's there like
y'all, let me talk to the ladies for a second here. Ladies, in Australia, social media, they call him Danaconda. Okay? They call him Danaconda. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we understand why Beck may be in love. She in love. I don't think she understands that this ain't love. This is infatuation. All of your endorphins are firing all at once. So we understand, Beck, but this ain't real love. Let's get outside of this and outside of the bedroom. They needed to be the ones that say don't touch each other for 10 days. I know Danny would have jumped at that.
Of course he would. He would have said, make it 20. But the thing is, I think it's quite telling. Like, so she probably, has a pet name, a nickname for him and all of that. I don't think he's that even, I don't even think he's that amorous enough to even like have a pet name for her. It's just, I don't think he likes her. I think he's just very performative. He just doesn't know how to let go. I think he's waiting for the right moment, but it's never going to be the right moment until he actually does it.
Right. It
And
won't be the right. Oh, I think he needs to. Here's the thing. I think they're going to make it all the way to the end. And then he's going to say, no, I don't see Danny walking away. I don't see him walking away from Beck immediately or before the final vows. I don't see Danny walking away before final vows.
yeah, you might be right about that, but I don't see him going through with final vows. So as long as he doesn't go to final vows and say yes and could make a complete idiot of her, then he needs to press the ejector seat and make sure the parachute is strapped tight so he has a safe landing, because sorry, she's a nightmare. She's bad.
Well, y'all, that has been this week, and I'm putting up here where y'all can see all of, let me take your comments down. These are all the couples at the bottom are all still in the process. The couples on my side here are the couples that have left the process, and most recently last week was Juliet and Joel. And if y'all are in Australia, Joel is touring and Teddy is touring. Okay. They are touring all over, and he's playing the drums the way he did on that social media post. My members, y'all got to see it. And he's selling t-shirts with Teddy on them. And there's a cute little show where they interview it, and Danny had a stuffed animal, and Steven as well, and they all had a cute little interview moment talking about teddy bears. It was funny. It was funny, but good to see people aren't tearing into him like how Sam is being torn into by Chris about having flatmates. But these couples at the bottom, they are going on homestays this week. They are going to be meeting friends and families at their respective homes, and some people don't make it, and some people don't make it back. Okay, we will find out in this week's episodes. Was there anything else, JRX TV, you wanted to say about these couples, the show this week coming?
Home visits are going to be very interesting. I mean, they've already met the family a couple of times during the season so far. So I think we have maybe 2 or 3 weeks left.
Yeah, 2 weeks, because we have the homestays, then the last commitments ceremony, then we have the decisions.
Reunion. Oh, decision and reunion.
Decisions, okay. And then we have the reunion. So at least 2 weeks, at least 2 Sundays left.
Okay, so I think there's still time for at least one of these couples to finish. Yeah, it's not going to be Danny and Beck. I probably think.
Well, Chris and Sam gone. That's my prediction.
Yeah, definitely Chris and Sam gone, and it wouldn't surprise me if Scott and Gia are either.
Ooh, interesting. Because y'all, usually we don't have more than 4 or 5 at the end. And that would mean at least 1, if not 2 couples say goodbye. Mm-hmm. But we usually get up to the 40s. This was up to episode 27, I believe. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is episode 27. 29 that aired today. So that falls in line with the 40 or so episodes. So again, we'll have 5 more 1 week, and another 5. That'll be 10, and that will make sense till reunion. Okay. Mm-hmm. But tell the people where to find you, JRX TV. What else you doing other than hoping that your Arsenals win and pull off a victory? What are you doing?
Right now, getting ready to go to the hospital, man. Because as I said, new uncle. But Instagram, you can find me on IG as JRX TV. You can find me on the YouTube streets as Life is Reality. And you can find me on TikTok as JRX TV as well. Sorry, too many things, man. Can't keep up.
It's not all one thing. It's
Yeah,
not
no.
all one thing.
Getting old. Getting old.
Getting older. Y'all, at 5 p.m. EST, I'll be covering Love is Blind Sweden season 3, these past 3 episodes, 6, 7, and 8 with the panel. So please tune in. Monday night, members, y'all know, members, Messy Member Monday. It may be a little bit different of a time, but I will be there for Messy Member Monday, and I'll put a slideshow together or we just chat. There won't be much lives unless I'm just popping up live this week, okay? I'll be away from the studio. And Saturday, though, we'll be back to watch it, to talk about RuPaul's Drag Race at 5 p.m. on Saturday. And next week, Sunday, we'll be back here again at 2 p.m. EST covering this week of the homestays of Married at First Sight Australia. And then at 5 p.m., the weddings of Love is Blind Sweden. Members, I owe you a post. Look for that in the next few minutes. But thank you so much, JR. It's always wonderful. Congratulations to you and your family. I'm glad everything is well. And y'all, as I always say, I'll see you on the next one.